see. I'll start. Yeah, recording now. So, but yeah, I thanks for meeting to talk today. Good to see everybody. How are you all doing?
Good.
It looks like a few of you all have been able to get in.
I think I need to comb my hair, but other than that, I'm fine.
Okay.
Hey.
Hey, Peggy, how are you doing?
Good. I'm in Naples. I just pulled into my mom's house. I made it in time.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. Okay. Very cool. Good.
Good to see y'all.
Good to see you too. So, what I love the yellow wall. That's we're redoing our kitchen right now and discovering all the different wall colors.
Yeah, my brother and I painted that for her last year.
Okay, that's our traditional yellow kitchen color. So love it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, wanted to, and it looks like there's a new person, Ron, who's on the line, who's going to be experimenting with us with the relabeling. Ron did scanning of some of the front yard, or not the front yard, some of the south yard items many before COVID started. And so he was interested in seeing how all the process worked and helping out with it. So welcome to Ron. I think all of you all are on Slack and having, working through that, which is great. And Slack has worked really well in terms of having you all answer each other's questions. It's just been really, really wonderful. Thanks for taking part in that. But I'm super excited about the next phase of this because we're moving into the stratum sheets that we changed in April of 2007 because we wanted to record more information. And they're basically the stratum sheets that we use today. So they're what the digital paperwork is based on. And the digital paperwork is what you all have been entering all of the bunker and the colonnade unit information in on, which is great. So I think you're going to find that doing the data entry on this, doing the digitizing, is going to be make a whole lot more sense with the new sheets. And one thing I need to do, I'm going to do this early next week, is make a guide similar to the pre-2008 guide that matches the sheet with the actual data entry form. And the unit stratum sheet, it does change from 2008 up until today. Like a couple of y'all were asking questions about the Harris matrix. Early on, that's incorporated into the form, and then it's taken out. And the Harris matrix form is one that was used for the entire unit, not just for a strata. And that, I think that was when Adam left, Mark made a Harris matrix form because Adam and Mark didn't see eye to eye on that. But then once Adam left, I was like, sure, Mark, go ahead and have a Harris matrix form. Mark was big on, he was trained in England. He was English. And so Harris matrix was a big thing, which he really liked. But what I'll do is I'll go ahead and, well, first, does anybody have any questions about the relabeling so far or anything? Yeah, Peggy.
I do. I started working on, I got as far as a third unit, and the first two I had no trouble with. The third one, just a little question. There's a photograph where the menu board calls it feature 798, and it says in progress. Mm-hmm. Then there are many photographs after that where there is no menu board, so I have to figure out what to call them myself. And you can see there's a progression. The feature is a post hole. Mm-hmm. You can see the progression. One photograph, it's labeled AB, and they've just begun. Then the next one, it's labeled 798A, 798B, and they're a little deeper. It progresses to where I think there are 5 of them. So my question is, am I supposed to me, I would call those in progress photos, but I didn't see it on this most recent sheet you put out. So I wanted to be sure.
Oh, that is a good point. There is I will add that. I will add that because
Okay.
there should be unit,
Yeah, it was on this old sheet, the 2008.
thank you. I will add that to it. Yeah. See, with the
Okay.
2000, we did relabeling of files in-house for a little bit before COVID.
Uh-huh.
And I think we just gave those numbers, but then once we started with with the cellars and the portico and all the others that we've done, we put a lot more categories in, and I thought I caught all those categories, but obviously I did not. So I will add the in progress.
Another question with that to make sure I am understanding it right. So since both 798A and 798B are showing in these many photos, and they're not just duplicates, they're different views as the whole progresses, right? Am I supposed to, what I've done is made copies and labeled them 798A, PH1 in progress, 798A, PH2
Yeah.
in and then I went to 798B and did the same process. Yes? Or can I just call it 798?
I'll tell you what, let's what unit is that, Peggy?
It is 1348.
1348.
Yeah.
MT. Let's let's hit that as the first example when we get into the folder, and then we'll look at that and
because I did 1340 and 1349 and had no issues. It was all
1348. Yeah.
48's dicey. Yeah.
I'll any other general ones?
I have
Peggy, thank you.
I have this one question from the naming convention table, which I printed off here. And I'm seeing it says for unit feature sheet or card, you do MT XXXX dot underscore FXX.ca. It seems like we didn't, with features, we didn't, for the cards, we didn't use dot underscore, we just used dot F. Like the example is on here is MT 2240. Is this the way we want to do it now? Dot underscore F1191.ca.
There's something different that happens between, and thank you for bringing this up, Dean, because I totally forgot to put this in there. In the April of 2007, I'm pretty sure it's 2007 we started to do this. If not, it's 2008. What we decided to do was for and I need to go back to see if it happened at the front yard or was the south yard. I can't remember. Is at one point we started to not label features with the feature number at first, but label it with a sequential letter. So if you're excavating your layer A and then B and then C, and before you get to D, you found a post hole, the letter for that post hole would become D to show the sequence of excavation. That was different than happened in pre-2006 with the cards, because with the excavation of a feature, you'd get to a feature and then you do a little letter A to label that the layers within that feature. And the problem we found is we didn't know, you couldn't figure out when you came across that feature and then when it was excavated in the sequence. And with giving everything a letter, it took care of that. And then the other thing is that with feature excavation, sometimes you'd excavate what you thought was a feature and it would bottom out and just be a little layer or a lens, and you wouldn't want to call it a feature. So what we wanted to do is start out calling it with the next letter. Then if it turned into a feature, we'd pull a feature number and assign it to the card. And what I need to do is go through the front yard, because at the transition, we were just changing this over. I need to go through the front yard fence line south and the fence line, the front yard from 2007, and see how we're doing that. And also what I need to do is get the fence line grotto Google sheet set up so you all can check off what you've done and make sure how you're labeling the unit records matches with the provenience field
Yeah.
in the database. So I do need to get, I'm gonna get that done, hopefully today, if I'm able to cancel a phone call. So,
Okay.
because that's important. Yeah.
Let me just confirm though, that for the relabeling we're doing now on the grotto, the fence line grotto, we're going to use for a unit feature sheet, we're going to use a dot underscore between the MT number and the feature number.
Or
You're going to let us know?
let me check that. And actually
Okay.
we'll check that. It looks like the unit you've got, Peggy, MT 1348. We could check that because I can't, it changed at some point, and I want to make sure I got that
All
right.
right. Okay. I heard you say that. I just wanted to be clear on where we were on this. So,
And
okay, you're going to let us know.
Yeah,
on
the
that.
point you're trying to make, Dean, is, yeah, before I attempted to label those the way we did in the past, where
which was just a dot.
Yeah,
between
where
the
it's
MT number and the F number.
Mhm.
But these new instructions that we have here say dot underscore and then the F, the feature
I see
number.
what you're saying. So
And
Matt's going to
those-
clarify that. Okay.
And those instructions were written for relabeling, units that were excavated in 2014 and later. And you all are looking at the 2007 season, and there's a slightly different thing. And one thing it makes me want to do, I'm going to do this, I'm going to send this to you all, is every season we have the field excavation guide, like the how to fill out the unit stratum forms. I'll send that to you all for the 2007 season, because that explains everything. And so it'd be good to read that before doing the relabeling, because it'll give details on how we labeled features. And all this changed, like between 2007 and 2009, there was a lot of changes. And what I'm probably going to need to do is, like, I just had Helen scan the 2007 field season. Is every field season, we're probably going to need to write a slightly different guide for each season. It won't take much, but I want to just make sure it's clear with each one, and I'll check the stratum guide. This completely reminded me of that. So thanks, Dean, and thanks, Peggy. These are good questions. Any other ones? Yeah, Kathy.
Okay, I have a couple because I've been working on a couple. So this kind of ties in with the feature thing. So there is a unit summary form, but then there's a feature summary form. How do we treat that? Is that an A summary also? Because they're two, I happen to luck out that I have one of each, so that it's like a feature form, which is different than the unit summary form.
Yeah, the feature, it looks like the feature summary form was developed in 2007. I know it was there by 2014.
Yeah.
And the feature summary form is what the feature sheet is.
No,
And
because I have a CA card that is all for the feature also.
yeah, and that feature card, what I need to do is I need to look through and see what we labeled this in. We spent about a year relabeling sheets from the 2014 and 15 season, and I need to see, to make sure that what was being called a unit feature sheet is actually a feature summary form.
Yeah, there's a thing for the feature summary here on the page versus the A summaries for the unit.
Yeah, but we're also calling that the CA card, because I thought that
then there's
summary,
codes too.
but that is also a different card, because then you have a feature card for the CA card.
Summary form.
I'm making an executive decision based on what you all are saying here. I am going to go, I'm crossing out the unit feature sheet because it's irrelevant. You're right, Pat. The feature summary form is what it should be. And it doesn't matter how we relabeled this in the past. I want to have this be the standard, is have the feature summary form be MT 1234 underscore, and that should be dot underscore. Shoot, that should be dot underscore.
So you wanted, yeah, there's a, right, that was missing here, what you just pointed out.
And then F, whatever the number is, and then dot F summary, because otherwise, there's no feature card per se. It's a feature summary form. That's what it's called. So I'll change this in the guide. I'm just doing it on paper.
But we still, but what happens then if we have a CA card that is it's for the feature, so in this case, I have in the unit I'm working, we have the summary, which is one thing, but then we have the traditional unit card, and it's for the feature. So now we don't do the dot underscore feature number dot CA for that. You see?
That one, if you have a unit stratum card, like a unit stratum sheet that is for excavating a layer within a feature, that would have the feature number and the letter. It should. And so it's like a regular stratum. It just happens to be within a feature. So
then that would be, the unit dot back to our old way of doing it. Right. Yeah, because that's what I thought too. Exactly. That this would be this. So then it would be this unit dot feature number dot CA whatever extension. Yeah.
And this is where you'll need. This is the critical point I left out, and I apologize for this. This is where you need to go to the Google Sheet and see how the purveyance is listed for that one. And okay. I'll get those Google Sheets together for you all this afternoon. So. I was going to go to the hardware store this afternoon, but I'm not now because I want to get this done. This is going to bother me. So the hardware store will open up back at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, and I'll hit it then. So,
and I have a couple of other just quick.
Yeah, these are great.
Okay, you know me. Okay, so I have a folder, and it has a profile wall card in it, and it is telling me drawing, the profile wall drawing. Okay. And it's telling me that it is for 2 units, the unit that I'm in plus another unit. Do you want me to duplicate that and then put a copy of that in the other unit?
That would be awesome, Kathy.
Yeah, okay, because that's what I thought it could, to do that.
And check the other unit just to make sure it's not there.
I did already.
Okay, yeah, that's absolutely.
You know me, I'm already on it.
Very cool. Yeah, anything like that, like if you have the other odd thing that'll happen is you'll have 2 profiles on the same piece of graph paper, one for the east wall, one for the west wall. Duplicate that and label one the west wall and one the east wall, because when we digitize those unit profiles, all those need to be unique files, and they'll need to be labeled uniquely. Originally we had been calling, like, if there is a profile wall that had a piece of graph paper that had the east wall and the west wall, we'd in the unit file name, we'd label it with a W and an E, but we stopped doing that once we started digitizing because we realized it was giving us all kinds of problems. So we want to make everything as granular as possible.
One last one from Kathy, please. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have another wall profile drawing, and it says it's a feature south bisect north profile, and I never figured out when I did relabeling way back in the dark ages what to do with anything that says a bisect in it. So do you just ignore the south bisect and just treat it as a north profile wall drawing? Yeah,
it's whatever direction the drawing is facing. So if you have a post hole and you excavated the southern bisect, you excavated the south side of that post hole, but you drew the north side, the direction of the drawing was facing north, that would be a north profile.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter whether it's, a cross section or a profile, they're both labeled with the, with the present profile.
So we just do that. Nothing with bisect goes in there. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, nothing with, don't worry about the bisect. Well, actually, when we classify that profile, there's a field in that feature class, because what we do is we draw a line where the profile is. will say whether it's a unit profile wall or a bisect, a cross section for a bisect. You know, we have classifications for all that stuff. Actually, if you look in the example, that story map of the cellars, where I have, you know, there's a map of the cellars and it shows all the different feature classes we've created for the unit records, like unit stratum, features, and profiles. There's examples in there of that, and I can send that link to you all with the field excavation guide. Basement story map. Cool. Did that exhaust all your questions,
That's it.
Kathy?
I'm
Okay,
quite- I'll-
awesome. Those are great. These are great. And what I'll do now is I'll go ahead. Does anybody else have any questions? Cool. I'll go to I'm going to share screens and then we'll get into the questions you had, Peggy, about MT 1348. So let's go ahead and share screens here. And let's see. I'm gonna oh, this thing drives me crazy. I can't see the here we go. So this is like on the Google Drive. Here's IMLS Mansion Restoration, and we're starting with Fence Line Grotto. So we go into Fence Line Grotto. Here's all the units, and where Fence Line Grotto is if you go to your bunker and front yard digitizing map, I've actually brought in all these units here, and also the front road and all the post holes that we located and the ones that we believe are there based on just the positioning. And the Fence Line Grotto is all this area right in here. So like these units right here. Let's see, units view, enable pop-up. Yeah, so these are Fence Line Grotto, all these guys. And actually, if I do unit view area, let's see. Location is area and location. I'm looking for the area. Oh, here it is, area. And fence line. Oh, okay. I need to add these categories. It's there, but it's area and location. Yeah, there's something weird with you know, when you put in the area and location, it's part of the drop down menu when you're digitizing. It'll only allow me to bring up the things that I've got in the drop down menu. So I'll fix that. But basically the Fence Line Grotto is all this area in here. This is the Fence Line Grotto. And I can't remember if this is, yeah, this is Fence Line Grotto in here. So Fence Line Grotto goes from here. The fence ends about right here. This is where the Boxwood Grotto is.
Mhm.
And I think the Fence Line Grotto goes up to, yeah, this one right here. And then these guys are Fence Line South. So these are Fence Line South. These are Fence Line Grotto in here. And then the front yard is all of what you've done up in here for the 2006 season. All the ones that are shaded are all the unit stratum that you all have entered. So like this one has a bunch of unit stratum, these units right here. But then the 2007 season for the front yard is all this area right in here. And actually, when you come in, Ron, to do some scanning, I'm going to have you scan a little bit that's left of the Fence Line South, but then also all these front yard units right here. So because that notebook was in Terry's office, and when he moved or left, it got misplaced for a little bit. So we didn't get to scan that stuff, but we've got all the fence line grotto in. And the nice thing about these units in here is, well, I don't know if you all will think it's nice. The interesting thing about these units is there's all kinds of strata within each unit. And what I'll do is when you all begin to get a handle on the labeling, is I'll do a presentation for you all on the stratum that we found in the fence line grotto in the fence line the south fence line, because there's a number of sequences that relate to the 1840s re-landscaping that happened at Montpelier that'll help explain what you're seeing and all that stuff. So it's, to help you, visualize what we were doing out there, like all the yellow fills and some of the artifacts that were being found in these layers all relate to the 1840s, similar to the front yard with the fills up here. But for the unit relabeling for fence line grotto, looks like, let's see if how many units are completed. There's one unit that's completed here, and then there's probably some problems. Yeah, 2 problems in there, so I can look at those. And then Peggy, you were talking about MT 1348.
1348, right.
Yeah, let's get in here. And looks like you started the relabeling.
This is my feeble attempt. I started with the photos. I haven't done the sheets
that's
yet.
awesome. And actually, before I get into 1348, let me just point out in general, like for the scanning, how we did this is let's find one that has more in it. 1341. Oh, all the ones I'm finding are 1347. Yeah, here's a whole bunch. Is that all these DSCNs are from the digital camera. These are all the photos that we took as we did excavations in the process of the project. All these numbered ones here, these were ones that were scanned by Helen. So when the company that did this for us last year for the pre-2006 units, they scanned the graph paper separately from the stratum cards, and those were labeled JPEGs. The other ones were the stratum cards were PDFs because they had both sides. But with the scanner that we've got here in the office, it labels them all PDFs. So later on, I'm going to go back and like for the ones that are graph paper like this one, I'm figuring out a way to automate converting these into JPEGs based on what sort of document it is. So we're not going to worry about that right now. We'll just have them all be PDFs. And also for some of these, I'm going to need to, I'll probably do this with the crew, is because we'll need to do this in-house, is get these guys turned around as well, because they're not always upright, which would make it kind of difficult with the pop-up. Some of these are upright here, and it's kind of a Halloween-esque with that face there. The feature looks like a face. That's pretty bizarre. So, and then a lot of these others are 2 pages, which are the stratum sheets. But for 1348, let's look at that one here. For this one, let's see, you've got all of the
photos are done, sort of, with the big question mark about how I did the features. I see now I didn't use the new protocol with the underscore, so I'm going to have to change that.
Yeah, and it's looking like this is where I need to get that. I need to get the Google sheet and pull what's in the database, how things are labeled. Like this for feature 748, it doesn't have a letter, which makes me,
right.
This is 798.
Right, 798.
And it makes me wonder on the cards whether it had a letter on it. It should. I mean, it has to.
I haven't looked at the cards yet. Rather than just
So there's B, C, D.
Snap there.
Yeah, okay, okay. So this is telling me, see, this has the little a right here.
Right.
So in 2007, it looks like we're using the same system that we're using before, that the strata for features when they were excavated got the little a. And so while we switched over to the sheets, we hadn't yet switched over to the new way of labeling everything with a sequential letter. So I'll make sure to, to mark this down in the unit relabeling guide. And then also this is where when you check the Google sheet, it'll have this notation. So this does make me remember that my vague memory is correct, that in the summer of 2008, when we started excavating features in the south yard for that fence line, that's when we switched to giving everything a sequential uppercase letter. And the 2007 season, we were still using the old system with a lowercase letter for the features. So, and so that makes me wonder, like for the so there's layer B, and this should be a lowercase b. Somebody just did it as an uppercase, which is problematic because you wouldn't want this to be uppercase B because there's already a B stratum.
There's already
there.
B strata. Right.
Yeah, yeah. And this is what was a complete nightmare about this system, is that it was not consistent. And that's why I loved it when, I can't remember what crew member, or if it was Mark or Adam, that suggested that we just abandon the lowercase and go with A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It just was, that was like such a wonderful moment. But for 2006, we were still using this old system. And so we get to the bottom of this feature. This is probably the post mold. Yeah, B is the post mold. And then we've got the drawing of feature 798, probably mid-process. Here is a plan view with a post hole defined, which should be layered. This is just should be P, it should be called B there. And then this looks like the excavation is done with the post hole removed. And then here's layer E. And then here's the profile of the of this feature. And this would be feature 98 profile. This is I don't see whether this is north south. Let me see. Even bisect is not shown on this. Let me see. This is feature B. Let's see if the bisect is shown here. Nope. This is A. Is the bisect shown here? No. So the bisect is not shown how this was bisected. And I think this is east, this is north south. So this is like the east bisect. So this would be, I'm gonna, for some bisects, this one doesn't show the post mold. So I think this is just a bisect of the feature when it was done. And so it's really a cross section, and there is no, since it's not indicated which direction it's in. Well, actually, if this is north and south, if north is up, south, this is it's east. Yeah, so this would be the east one. This would be the east profile. Oops. And let's get into the remainder of these records. E, there was a profile, and then here's the photos. So here's D, E, easy stuff. And then this is the opening for feature 798. And for the unit feature photo, this is one that I will define this. This one is a opening photo of the feature. So this would be MT, MT 1348 dot, since there's no layer in it, it would be dot underscore F798 dot PH opening. So for this, let's call this, okay, you got it right here. Awesome. So you got 1348 feature 798. Since it's the opening one and it's the whole feature, there's no layer that's in here. It's just the feature. That's where we want to do the underscore, because it's kind of like a summary. And then this would be PH and then opening. And then the next one is like into the excavation. And this is, sometimes you got to go back and like see, there's a close up, there's a less of a close up,
Yeah.
there's another close up, and so on and so on. So this one is, let's see, you got this labeled as, yeah, this is, since it's the opening shot, it doesn't need, it doesn't need to have any designation. You've got this perfect, Peggy. It's 1498 F798B.ph. And since it's the opening shot, you don't label it because everything has an opening shot, right?
Okay.
And
does the underscore belong in front of the
Yeah.
F?
no, it doesn't, because there's a layer.
Because it's B.
Because it's got layer, it's got a
Because
layer.
it's got the B on it,
All right.
doesn't need the underscore.
I see.
Right,
Okay.
right. If for the opening of the feature, there is no unit letter there, no strata letter.
No strata letter.
No
Okay.
strata letter. So it's kind
I
of like
get that.
it's kind of like a summary of the feature, and that's why we do the underscore, because it's not,
Okay.
you can't associate it with any particular stratum that'll be on the Google sheet.
Okay.
Basically, if it's not on the Google sheet, you know that it's it can't be associated with a particular stratum.
Okay.
And of course there are exceptions, because there are some stratum that aren't in the Google Sheets because there's no samples that were taken. But that's pretty rare starting in 2007, because we were doing a lot of samples. So, but these are always, and with all this, if you have questions, just leave it and ask us in Slack, and we can get to it, and then put it in the problems folder. So, and then we can get back to that. So this is good. But what it makes me want to do is, I realize, looking at this photo right here, and actually I'm gonna go back to rename, and I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna copy this name, and you'll see why in a second. When I go back to these photos here, like this one and this one you were taken like seconds apart, because it's the same photo. So this one, I'm going to label this one. Oh, you did it. Yeah, that's perfect. Is it's F798A.ph2.
Right.
And then this one is F798. And actually this one, you'd want to call this one pH3, because you don't want to have two of them that are called the same.
I have actually like 5 of them. There's a series of 5, which they're pH 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. And yeah, and let's get back to those guys, because
Okay.
like this one is pH 2. This one is not an opening of A. It's B, either in progress, or let's just call it, oh God.
Yeah, I called it in progress A and in progress B. I made a copy
Yeah.
and called it in progress both ways for both.
I want to say, I'm going to say it's A in progress. I think this one is A in progress. So why did I download? I want to rename. This one is pH, and I can't remember if you had, if we had like a 3 in progress photos, did we call it in progress and then 3 at the end? Or I think it was 3, the number was at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, the number was after progress.
Okay, the number was after progress. So we'll call this in progress 1.
But
thought-
you don't need the 1, do you?
Yeah, we don't need the 1. 1 is assumed, right? We only
you're
need
right,
2,
it is.
3.
Yeah, you're right. So we'll delete that. And then this one, oh gosh, let's see whether there's a B that's opening. So this is, where's the opening for B? That's closing a feature. B in progress. It looks like there's no opening. There's no big opening for B. Opening, is that B? Oh, this is, okay, this is B. All right, so this is the opening for B. Cool. So this is the opening of B. And then, so these are all in progress of B. So this one,
I think that's what I did.
yeah,
Confused.
I
I
mean,
think I did.
it is so hard to say on this, like whether this is in progress of A or in progress of B. And I think you're just going to have to take your best guess. Like you said, this one is this is PHA in progress. This one is A photo 2 opening. Basically, what I would do with these is if there is nothing that's representative of B, you don't want to have B be lonely. So just give it call it B. And then that way we'll have B represented. And so this would be B, not the opening of B, but it would be B in progress. Does that make sense? And it is like, if I didn't have coffee this morning, I might call it A in progress, or A in progress 3. So, but the game plan would be,
It just sounds like it might be a good idea to start relabeling each unit by looking at all the strata cards and feature cards and checking them against the Google Sheet to make sure, that to make sure, well, so that when you start relabeling, you make sure you're covering all of them the same way they were mentioned in the Google Sheet. Does that make sense?
that does. And I don't know if, let's see one thing is if in the, definitely want to look at the Google Sheet to make sure that, how things are being called.
Because sometimes there's, if there are differences between I guess what I'm trying to say, if there are differences between the cards that, the field cards that we have and the Google Sheet, you sort of have to think about how you're going to fix that first. Don't you?
Yeah, you do. You have to look at the Google Sheet to see what it's called. And unfortunately, I was looking at photographs in some year, I can't remember what a year it is. I'll have to look in the Stratum guides. We started putting in the numbers of the DSCNs in here, which would be a huge help. And that's why we started doing that but here it just says digital opening. So, but it doesn't say how many or anything like that. So yeah, I'd say if you have questions, is just try to represent as many of the stratum as possible where it's ambiguous. And because what you'd want to have is every stratum should have an opening photo, and for features, ideally an in progress photo too to represent it. it's not always going to happen because, you know, it depends on the feature and how it was excavated. And for the post holes, those became really complex in their excavation because sometimes we'd excavate a post hole and we would, you know, begin excavating the post hole as layer A, the whole thing, because we didn't see the post mold. And then once we found the post mold, we'd call that B and excavate it down a little bit until the post mold was defined. And then once it was defined, what we do is we want to bisect the post hole right down the middle, including the post mold. So we could have a profile, an elevation profile of what the post looked like to see if it was a blunt bottomed post or a pointed post and what the shape of the post was. So there's going to be some of these posts that are excavated, the ones that are excavated completely, like in the front yard, where there's like 30 shots of the feature being excavated. And that's where, you know, most of them are going to be in progress. You know, that you might have like as many as like 9 in progress shots. And there's going to be some that when the crew goes back to create the bisect forms, they're going to call some of those bisects and associate them with this layer that we have called for the profiles. But don't just do the best you can with these, and it's don't just, a lot of it's, some of these are going to be ambiguous for features, and if you just have questions, put it in the problem folder and I can look it over. So did that answer your questions, or at least I don't know if it answered them, Peggy, but at least addressed them. So
Yes, I'm going to study the Google sheet and read all of the summary sheets and strata sheets, and maybe it will become clearer.
yeah, and one thing that I had a question for you all. I mean, I think with the fence line grotto, I was going to put everything from the 2007 season into one folder. And then I thought, no, you know, there's so many changes that happened in the 2007 season with methodology that it'd be good to kind of just go sequentially. When you all are done with the grotto folder, what I was going to have you do is digitize these. And what I'm wondering about is, after fence line grotto, when you start digitizing these, we'll do it when you finish the fence line grotto relabeling. I'll get the digitizing form all ready for you all, and then we'll meet and talk about that and get you all started with that process. And once you get the digitizing done for the fence line grotto, what we might want to do is or maybe midway through, is do an assessment of whether or not, when you relabel these, if you want to immediately after that do the digitization. And can't do that right now because they don't have the digitization layer ready for you all yet. And I thought it'd be good to go through the relabeling first, just so not trying to do like 30 things at once, you know, both of us. So this, you know, but we'll want to think about whether or not we want to do the relabeling and then you immediately do the digitizing afterwards. But that's a little bit down the road, something I've just been thinking about. And when you all digitize, we can talk about that. But the other thing I wanted to, and I'll stop sharing screens now. What I did want to tell you all, oh, Kathy, yeah. Oh, you're muted, Kathy. Okay, there you go.
Just a quick question. I'm confused because your handout that does have the 4 types of photo, kind of how to write them. For opening, it's just the pH. Now, are we just doing the pH, or are we doing pH opening? If it's opening.
For the for the opening photo, it's just the pH.
Okay, because that's what I was getting confused, because Peggy, you had one that had opening on it, and I just want to make sure that anything that is just there doing nothing or opening should be just a pH. Okay.
It's just a pH, yeah, because every single strata should have an opening photo,
right.
And so just calling that.
I didn't label anything opening.
Okay.
And
I might have labeled it accidentally.
Yes.
so-
That's what I was trying to question.
Okay, sorry about
I'm
that.
glad you asked, Kathy, because I wondered the same thing. What?
Yeah,
Well,
I'll
thank
go
you.
back and
Thank you.
fix
It's
that.
not just me. Okay.
Okay.
It's me, as me, so sorry.
Okay.
And
Closing, yes.
features,
We don't do
features are
opening.
supposed to have a closing
We do
photo, aren't
closing,
they?
but we don't do
Sorry,
opening.
I'm talking.
I would, Dean, I'd like to say, yeah, features are supposed to have a closing.
But sometimes they don't.
Sometimes they don't, but that would be a really weird occurrence. And how
Oh,
you,
would it?
for the closing of the feature, what that would be labeled as is, actually, let's go to your example, Peggy.
Yeah, I had one that was, I think it's, I don't, it's
So-
1348 EP, I don't know. You'll find it.
Let's see, y'all can see this. Going through these photos, like that's the detail. Oh, you know what? I bet, oh, there it is, closing a feature. Yeah, this
Oh.
one does have a closing. And so, but this one is closing a B. So this one is not the closing of the feature.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
just a-
Oh,
Closing of F798B. It's the closing of.
It's the closing of just B. Yeah, there's no closing of this feature
Oh.
because technically we didn't excavate it all. We left strata in it. And we will, yeah, the only time you'd want to have a closing of the feature is if the feature is all the layers in it were completely excavated and you're down to subsoil, and then it would have a closing feature, and that would be kind of like the unit feature photo. And I'm realizing this one needs to be fixed. Unit feature photo closing. I'll fix that because this one right here, the unit feature photo, and I'm sharing screens. I'm sorry. Gosh. There. For it says unit feature photo right here.
Mhm.
That should be closing. I'll detail there should be one for opening and one for closing, and I'll fix that. I'll fix that because with the opening, there's not necessarily a stratum associated with it because it's just the feature. And then for the closing, like when all the layers have been taken out of the feature, there's no more layers associated with it because they've all been excavated, and it's just the closing of the feature. And that would be one of those ones with the underscore because there's no layer associated with it. And for the other thing I just want to say is thank you all for being so patient with all this process and being willing to go into so much detail because it is, like for crews, sometimes they're just like, what the heck? Why? There's all this stuff. So thank you all for doing this. And the other thing I wanted to say is what I wanted to do is to, this process of having you all work on this has been really revealing of one, how complex it is, and then how dedicated you all are, and really appreciate it. But what I wanted to ask you all about is, and maybe once you all digitize some of this stuff, is doing another call to action for expeditioners as a whole to have more folks begin to do this process. And what I was thinking is I would have you all continue on, doing the relabeling and the digitizing, but do a Zoom session where we talk about all this again and have you all there, and then open it up for new volunteers to come in, and would start them just like I started you all on like about a year ago, where they were relabeling photos, just, kind of as the first step. And then would have you all and me as a support network for getting through this process. And it would be amazing to have you all become mentors for the new folks to answer questions, and then gradually build them up. Probably be a process where like a year ago, we started with like about 20 people, and then it pared down for various reasons down to like the core 6 or 7. and do this again, because if you, I'm going to share screens again. If you all look at like the number of units that we've got, like what's in green is what you all have done. I mean, you all have done a ton, like all of the front yard here from 2005 and 2006, relabeling the basement and the portico, and then the bunker and the colonnade, and we've got a ton done. But when you kind of scoot over and yeah, I guess, look at
Whoa.
the grotto right here, and then the fence line grotto, the south yard, the stable quarter, the stable area here, and then let's head north. Oh, look, there's the north kitchen, the northwest yard. Oh, there's the fence, the pine alley and fence line north, and then Dolly's midden. And wait, there's more. There's the bathroom area where we're going to put the bathroom. There's a lot of different areas to do. And then there's not just this. Like when you zoom out, I don't have it on this map, but there's all of the home farm with the field quarter and the tobacco barn quarter. So, and then I won't even talk about Gilmore and McGowan. So, but there's a lot to do. And this, having more people help on this would be fantastic. And what I wanted to do is get into like, have us get through like a good part of the 2007 season. And then I want to see whether or not I might have you all work on the 2007 season. See when when we get to a very consistent place and start the new folks on like the 2008 season and beyond, where things are a lot more consistent. So you all get to suffer with all the changes that are happening, like, oh, we changed it from cards to sheets, but we didn't start calling the features, with the big letters as sequentially. There was still the feature with the little letters and that sort of thing, which would just drive you crazy. So, but would love to get your thoughts on that, and what you think.
Yeah, the more the merrier.
Sure.
That was fine.
Well, cool. Well, keep this in mind as we move forward, because I wasn't planning on doing this until we were all to the point where you all are digitizing this stuff from 2007 into GIS, and then get this under our belt, and then do this, and probably do it more maybe in late October, early November, when we hit the we start getting into the winter months and people are more likely to be inside, and it could be like beat the winter blues with digitizing, and see what kind of popularity we can get. So what kind of reception we can get. So, but thanks for hanging in there and being the core group. And for those of you all that are listening later, thank you all too. I know 1 o'clock wasn't good for everybody, but because am I still recording this? Let's see. Yeah, I am still recording this. Great. So, and I'll send you all a copy of this in case you want to listen to it again. I doubt you do, but what I'll do next is I'll send you, I've got to go meet a VIP. I just got texted that they arrived at the site. But when I get back to the office, I'll email you all the field excavation guide and the basement story map. And then I'll make the changes to the relabeling guide in here. And then next week, I'm going to do the guide for digitizing in the postcard, when we get into for the stratum sheets, and get that out to you all. So, but thanks for tuning in. Great to see everybody. And Peggy, sorry you're not coming down in October. I know you were going to come last week, but it's Debbie's going to be here next week, or not next week, but the week after next. But hope everything is all right with your mom.
Family conflicts going on right now. Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
I want to be there.
We got the spring programs all set. So those are on, I think those are live on the web. So if anybody wants to sign up for those, it'd be great to to have that. So, and have you on those. And Denise, I just came across photos of, I think it was your cousins when they visited. So I think it was, yeah. Let's see, that was, because your niece sent me the book.
Oh, my daughter.
Your daughter sent the book. Yeah, there was
Mhm.
another group of Willises that had come out. Maybe this was like 2 years ago. I'll have
Okay.
to look their names up. So, but they were
Oh.
visiting the family cemetery, and I just came.
How do you
across
like
these photos.
that?
So,
Okay.
yeah,
There's a
Yeah.
ton of Willises.
there are, and it's I think you saw the webinar on the Eastwoods where we figured out all that area was bought by the Willis family and is
Yes.
associated with Rockwood.
Right,
Yeah, with
John
Rockwood
Willis.
over on Chicken Mountain. Yeah.
right. Yep.
So, but
Hmm.
cool. Well, great seeing you all, and I'll send you an email when I get back up from seeing this VIP. So, all right, bye everybody.
Thanks, Matt.
everybody.
Good seeing
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye, y'all.